Zoom is the next one that I will share with. You can get a free account, which lasts, I think, for 40 minutes right now. As I'm recording this, the free account means you have one type of event, I guess, that is on the calendar, and it could just be your podcast as the event. It has a maximum recording time of 40 minutes. If you pay for it, then you can have multiple different types of events on there. So you can have coaching calls, you can have discovery calls, you can have podcast interviews for your first podcast interviews for your other podcast interviews for your third podcast, if you have that many. And they can go unlimited amounts of time. But as far as like the memory of Zoom, it can be also limited. What's a drawback of Zoom? The audio and the video are, the word for it is compressed. So they put as much of the recording into as small of a file as possible. And what that can do is that can lower the ability for you to have more options later. So if you're editing it, you have a compressed file, and another word for a compressed file is a small file. I believe, in my opinion, that the audio quality is enough. I'm recording this on Zoom right now, and how do I sound? Zoom is good enough. The video quality, which video files, MP4 type of files, are gigantic. There's so much memory that goes into it, especially if you've got a 2K or 4K camera. Then these files can just get outrageous. With an hour-long recording, these files can be so huge of memory. Zoom makes it faster and easier by dumbing down the video. This is where I think that they lack the most, is the video quality. Because if you bought yourself a 2K or 4K camera and you think you're recording in 2K or 4K, but if you're using Zoom, unfortunately, the quality with Zoom compresses it. So it's like you're using a much smaller type of file. You're going to be a little bit more blurry or fuzzy. It's not going to move. It's not going to have as many frames per second. It's going to be enough. It's going to be good enough for most people. But if your main thing is, I need to have really good video, you're not going to find extremely good video on Zoom. But I use Zoom. I like it. It has good enough video, especially for my needs. My audio experience is the experience that I care about the most. And Zoom's pretty freaking good. I do the paid version. We have an upgraded account. It translates and transcribes everything for you. So you can pull a transcription immediately of everything that was said. And it even goes as far as saying who said it. So if you got 2 or 3 or 4 people on the podcast at the same time, it basically takes a transcript of which microphone that it came from. So let's just say you've got Pam on mic 1 saying XYZ, and you've got Adam on mic 2 saying 1, 2, 3. Then when Pam talks, it says Pam said, and then it gives the words that she has. And then when I talk, it says Adam said, and it gives the transcription. The internet issues, any internet issue that you experience if using Zoom, especially like if it's on your guest for this episode, you've got your guest and they say something, but they get cut off because their internet is a little slow, and you hear it on your end that they blanked out for a few seconds or for a minute or whatever it is. Then that's literally going to be recorded. So going back to Riverside, it doesn't get recorded. It still sounds perfect. On Zoom, it gets recorded and it becomes part of the recording. On the pros, just to give you a couple of pros, the calendar integration is amazing. So Zoom is one of the very few companies that easily connect with any Google or Apple calendar. Meaning if I have like Calendly and people book a call through Calendly, it propagates or it generates its own unique link. So one of the huge pros is just the calendar integration. You can't get that with any other platform. This is one of the reasons why I use Zoom. If you're only recording maybe up to 1 episode a week, then maybe you don't care. Maybe you don't mind doing it on its own, like going in and finding its own link. But with Zoom, I can record 6 episodes a week, and every single guest has their own link. I don't ever have any randos jumping into an interview and interrupting me. The second one is that you have less missed interviews. The reason why is because Zoom's pretty popular. A lot of companies have been using it. I think they put a lot of money in a few years ago, back when COVID was happening and people were working from their office. Zoom became kind of that place that everybody knew about, everybody used, everybody tried. A lot of podcasters have used it. And as an end result, more people know and understand what Zoom is, have Zoom. Zoom can also be used either on the internet without even having the app downloaded on your computer or your phone. You can actually access these meetings directly from a web browser too. So a lot less missed interviews. People are not going to miss your interviews, A, because it's in the freaking calendar for them. It's right in front of them. And B, because they already know what Zoom is. They know where to find it. They know what it's like. They don't have to download anything ahead of time like they do on some of the other platforms.